Hi everybody and welcome to Sports Club and MoneyMan and everything in between. I've got Z, as I call him, Zorro, Zelim now, and Oliver Keohane, who has Money Boy, who has to be here because he represents a generation that we're going to talk about shortly. And that,
yeah, to just sit and say nothing.
Well, that's something that Jake Paul's not capable of. And with that segue, let's get straight into the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren.
Yeah.
If I never in my wildest dreams imagined I'd be making salacial content around such a little prick as Jake. It's absurd to me, you know, that this fight is going on. But other people argue, yeah, but it's good for boxing. If that's what boxing's going to come, let's kill it off.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
You know, in my opinion. And, you know, you've got a situation where you've got a Ben Askren who's a class act, you know, Olympic medalist, I think, NCAA champion, jiu-jitsu expert. He's 36 years old, retired in 2019 November. So he's probably in the prime of his life. And so for him, yeah, it's a massive payday because of the whole pay-per-view and the likes of the media that Jake Paul generates around this is going to give him a great payday. And fair play to him, you know. Yeah. But I find it incredibly disrespectful to other athletes. And this new, you know, and the betting when it started out was Jake Paul was heavily favored. Now I can only imagine that was because the generation that follows that moron saw the meme of him knocking out Nate Robinson, who is an athlete, but he's never boxed in his life. In fact, the talking about his professional boxing record as 2-0, undefeated. Who the fuck has he fought? And we're going to beat that. Sorry, who the fuck has he fought?
I mean, it's for the YouTuber.
Well, I think that's what irks me so much about it is you're not only, you know, you've got guys coming out like Mike Tyson and stuff saying, oh, it's good for the sport and it's bringing in audience. It's bringing in audience, whatever. But what it's doing is I think it's killing the brand and the sort of like mystique about boxing. And boxing has always been, there's a certain level to which you work your way up in your weight divisions and then you can challenge for a title. But now it's like if you have a certain subscription base, if you have a certain following, you can just call someone out, and because of the hype that it's going to gain in the pay-per-view, you can just get stuck straight in a ring with a guy who you should never deserve to be fighting in the first place. And I think that's a bit of a joke, you know, he doesn't deserve to be fighting a primed athlete that's fought in the cage, you know, so he hasn't been in the ring, but they shouldn't be in the same room, you know.
Look, I agree. Z, talk to me.
Yes,
makes sense.
So what I think is missing from this whole thing is that the idea behind a boxing match is two guys have got together, they've reached this point in their careers through fighting.
Yeah.
They've beaten guys to get to this place, and now they are contending for a championship or the opportunity to get hold of the champion or the best contender, whatever the situation is. These guys have kind of leapfrogged that. It's not so much about the quality of the fight. It's that there's almost nothing on the line other than ego in this. You know, somebody's going to get paid.
Well, I think that's the key. Is that they're both going to get paid.
Right.
There's massive paydays, right? Mm-hmm. And we live in a world that promotes greed and materialism and all this other stuff. So I get it. The MMA has so much to lose as a brand if this goes wrong. Now, I don't think it will. I think if you've got money, put it on Askren because there's going to be. We've seen a shift from Jake Paul being a massive favorite, and then I say his generation of followers that don't read articles, that don't
read.
They don't
watch boxing.
And so they'll see a meme of him knocking out Nate Robinson, who's an ex-NBA player. There's no doubt he was an athlete. You have to be a basketball player, but he wasn't a pugilist. He wasn't a fighter.
Yeah.
And so you've got these kids seeing this, and their money came in first, and then all the Sharpies. Like, let's do a bit.
This is too good.
This is too good to be true.
Yeah.
And they've bet now Askren is favored, and I imagine by the time the fight goes off, he's going to be a very short-priced favorite.
Yeah.
Simply for this reason: he's got cardio. He lives in the gym. He's a class act. He can take a punch. You know, it's like Jake Paul. And let's watch a video on Jake Paul. The class of Jake Paul.
Dylan won't sign a contract.
Well, I'm trying to wait for you to stop talking. Okay.
Fucking fight game. You bitch. This is the fight game. Yeah, I'll bully you around just like I'm gonna bully you in the ring. Shut the up.
So there he is. That's the guy. We had to edit it and put beep, beep, beeps. We're a family show sometimes. And
Sometimes.
what can you say about that? Well, I read a couple comments, and one of them was so funny. It was, he lost his cool. Doesn't that mean, shouldn't that mean he had to be cool to lose it?
Yeah. Well, I think
if that's the generation of people that are the role models, the planet's in trouble.
Yeah, what I was saying earlier just about like these kind of guys like Jake Paul damaging what boxing as a brand, even though they're bringing in money. You also look at like what made boxing so special, especially before MMA kind of came about and stuff too, was like the wit associated with like Muhammad Ali. I remember my dad gave me when I was like 13 a book of like Muhammad Ali's greatest hits, and it was like his best chirps to opponents, and it was so clever, and and then he would go in and he would back it up because he was a brilliant fighter, you know. Even when Conor McGregor initially came on the scene, the way that he would trash talk was clever and it was funny, and it ended up lacking a bit of class towards the end of his sort of.
Jake Paul has no class.
But Jake Paul is like that's not even trash talking. I think his video, I don't know if you guys have seen it, of him calling out Conor McGregor when he's sitting in the car, sitting there saying nothing to do with boxing, nothing about his ability, nothing about him as a person, just hurling like insults at him.
I think that was Logan. I don't know. I mean, they're
Potato.
potato. But one's more talented, and you could see one Ben Askren, and we'll show Ben Askren now. Let's have a look at him.
It takes an act. It takes a show. He's done that. He says, pulling the fire truck, me eating rice and chicken and shit like that. Like, I'm in this for life. That's tremendous. Appreciate that, Jake.
Suck it.
We can clearly see the class of the guy, right? I mean, and the calmness. Does he look like he can't believe that he's getting this much money to beat up a chop.
That's what worries me, Kev. Is we've just spoken about how there's no authenticity to this matchup. So what scares? Well, it doesn't scare me. What worries me about this is that the result of this fight may not be legitimate. You know, there's nothing on the line here. So for Askren, if they said to him, "Listen, we're going to give you an extra $5 million, you know, to go down in the third round," what is he losing?
This is the point I wanted to make too. Is you look at that Mike Tyson fight against Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson was like undeniably a winner in this huge like ex-heavyweight boxing match, called as a draw. Exactly. You know what I mean? So it's like, what's to say? Like you said, they give him an extra $5 million, just go down in the second round, knock to the jaw. You know, Jake Paul's 3-0 in his professional career.
Well, I think that then opens a narrative for this to be that will expose this for what it is.
Yeah.
So I tend to think I'm always a bit of an optimist, and I tend to think that there's so many people that dislike this brat because would you fight him?
No, I mean, I'm not a pugilist either, but I'll give it a go. For that kind of money, I'm in.
But I think I could probably train you for say 3 months, and you could do it.
Let's do it.
And let's
Call him out, Kev. Let's go.
Okay, R500,000. Come down here. You fight this little guy here, and if you lose, you have to go across his knee, and you can give him a good fucking hiding as well. Because
would I have to shave for that, though?
No, you don't. You look good. I mean, you're far more composed, and we can get you. But you know what would be a good fight? Let's put the Bullet versus Jake Paul.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Wouldn't that? Jake, the Bullet at close to 50, a rugby player. I don't know how much money we can come up with. Let's say 5 to 10 million rand to get him down here and a fight. And if he wins, I'll double the prize.
Fantastic.
How would that be?
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Would you watch it?
Yeah, I'd watch it.
I'd watch it too, eh? So Mr. Paul or whatever your fucking name is, let's come to South Africa and fight a 50-year-old. In a boxing, your terms and conditions, and if you lose, then you're going to go across my knee, and I can give you a proper whooping. How's that sound?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think, but that's almost
because it's farcical.
It's the same thing. That's what I'm saying, Kev. Is I don't know, how legitimate the result is going to be here because.
But I can guarantee a Bullet would kill him.
Yeah. And I think Askren would kill this guy. I think Askren would.
I think look, if you want to know which way to bet this and you're confused, go with someone that's been in the gym every day that can take a punch. The only way you're going to lose your money is the caveat that this fight is fixed. That the only way.
And like you said, that opens an entirely different narrative post the fight because it's now on the brink of that being sort of investigated more, because there's been 3 or 4 of these sort of 5 of these exhibition kind of matches.
I don't mind
results.
I don't mind YouTubers trying to beat the crap out of it. Well, I watched that fight in Canada. It was a winter night, and I think it was in November. Him fighting whoever, can't even remember the YouTuber, and that's my issue. I don't watch YouTube, but you know what it has done is it allowed me and my son to bond in different ways. And he can't stand Logan Paul, and he's like, and he just looked at me last night. We were cuddling in bed. Yeah, he's 10, so we're just having a chat, and he just said to me, "Dad, he's gonna get killed." I mean,
I think Jack would kill him too. All 6 foot of Jack now.
Well, yeah, he's probably a little unseasoned at 10 to take out Paul.
Just a little.
Give him another 5 years.
He's got the weight behind him. Though. He's a solid unit.
But his hand speed's slow, just like Logan's. It's like you said, you could write a letter and telegraph the way he telegraphed his knockout against Nate Robinson. Now, I guarantee you now, at 54, I could knock out Nate Robinson in 30 seconds. It took him, I don't know, a round and a bit, and I haven't fought in years.
Well, that's the thing though, Kev, as well, is in this fight, this Paul kid has never gone beyond 2 rounds. I mean, if Askren's got any brains...
Should I call him out?
You are seriously thinking about it. You're itching. That eye's got a bit of a twitch.
Then I buy into the whole farcical thing.
Exactly.
But Bullet, I'd like to see, because Bullet's got rage and anger. And
he can fight.
And he can fight, yeah.
I think Askren goes into this fight, he's just going to clinch this kid to death. He's going to be exhausted by that time.
Well, he said he would get...
Yeah.
Well, if you want to fight a real athlete, you got James Dalton, James knows nothing about this, so he may kill me when he finds out I've been talking about him behind his back, but I think that'd be great. And I know all the
Chuck James Haskell in the mix as well. Be fantastic.
Oh yeah, let's let him go through a Logan Paul. But Logan Paul's not stupid. He wouldn't take the fight because he knows he'd get beaten up by a 50-year-old. I don't think we're going to be talking much about Logan Paul after this fight, because unless my 10-year-old son's wrong and I'm wrong and the smart money's wrong, this should hopefully end Logan Paul's Jake Paul. Yeah. Sorry,
Logan Paul's not ended after his first loss. He had 1 fight
so this should end the charade that is Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
Yeah.
I hope so though. I hope this kind of puts to bed what is like you said, almost like a worryingly growing trend. That just sort of reeks of inauthenticity.
Yeah. I don't know, but there's something. It's like watching a train crash, right? A car crash, where you just it's wrong, but you can have a look. It's like And I know that Derek Hochard is fighting Francois Van Koch.
What? I didn't know.
Really? I did see Derek Hochard was training. I'm not sure who he's fighting, but I saw
Francois Van Koch.
Is it? Okay.
No, I'll pay to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know either.
That's cool. That's an exhibition.
That's good South African grit.
Yeah. Good deal. That's an exhibition. And I think boxing's like this sort of thing is the only sport where if we had to put a celebrity soccer match together, nobody would be taking the soccer seriously. No. But somehow with Askren in this has kind of become a real fight.
Well, I think, like I said, I think that the smart money's now coming on Askren, and it'll keep pouring on.
Don't you guys think that it's funny, because this whole fight and this whole sort of industry just speaks to primal human nature, that if you put 2 people that we find interesting in a ring and just let them fight each other, we all want to watch.
Exactly.
So you could put a soccer player, Jake Paul fights goalkeeper from Bayern Munich. Do you know what I mean? Let's see this Manuel Neuer clubbing him. Do you know what I mean? It's just
Look, like I said, there's a sort of there's a car crash element to this thing.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a place for these type of fights, but not with trained athletes. So I hope that Ben, please, I know you don't know me, I don't know you, but do us all a favor and put a fucking nail in this guy's coffin.
Get a clinch and hit him in the
and
kidneys.
just speed bag his face, do whatever. Win by whatever means, but be classy about it and just finish him off. Please, once and for all.
I think when people say he was a grappler, he was a fighter, he wasn't a striker. When you're an a professional MMA athlete, you have to have a basis in pretty much everything, and you're spending your fights up, and you got to be conscious of whether. Do you know what I mean? He's been not a fight.
I think Ben Askren has been ranked in 4 different disciplines in the top 10 in the world at one time or another. Like, I think that's the mockery of this Jake Paul character, is to even think that you should be in a ring with him. Now, we know why they're in the ring, it's the money.
Yeah.
But it is disrespectful to so many other MMA fighters and other fighters that are trying to get into the various divisions of MMA, that this takes away from that. I get that it also makes it a little bit topical, but Ben Askren's a fighting machine.
I mean, if this kid can't even stay composed in the pre-match, what's going to happen when he has to eat a couple of punches?
Well, I think the thing that set him off was Ben, and it was quite a nice little needle from Ben, saying you've lived in your brother's shadow.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like, oh, I just knew that I was going to wile him up, you know.
You said something about rubbing your face in the carpet or something, right?
So yeah, I am going to watch it. My son's going to watch it. Even my wife is saying, you know, I'm going to stay up and watch it. So it's been.
Oh, this is the danger of it. This is the danger of it. Yeah.
That's what they're counting on.
Well, you know, I never thought we'd be salaciously talking about a moron like that guy.
Yeah.
And maybe he is like the next coming of Donald Trump. Maybe he's just a great marketer. Maybe he's a genius. But I don't think so. I don't think so either.
Okay.
So who's going to win?
Oh, Jake Paul, obviously. Ben Askren, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I think it's going to be a really ugly fight.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be slow. I think there'll be a lot of missed strike attempts. But I mean, if Askren doesn't win this, I don't know.
Look, Askren's been knocked out once, and it was a flying knee.
Yeah.
And if you don't get knocked out by a flying knee, then you're not human. So I don't think Jake Paul's punches are going to do much to a seasoned chin.
Yeah.
I'd be really disappointed if it's not over in the first round with an Askren, because, like you say, when you get into the MMA ring, you don't start on the floor, you don't start on the mat, you start upright. So when Jake Paul says his grandmother strikes harder, clearly she didn't, because you would have been raised with some manners.
Yeah.
You know? So don't tell me that your grandmother, or he didn't, maybe he didn't say his grandmother, but anyway, it certainly wasn't Jake Paul's grandmother that can hit it hard. And the hand speed of Askren should be ridiculously faster than the clumsy, oafish Jake Paul. Like you say, you could have a sandwich and a Coke while as he throws his punch. Yeah. So to a guy that's been trained to see and understand these things, I don't think this fight lasts more than one round, and should be over very quickly. And I don't think it's going to have to be grappling and all this other stuff. I think it's just going to be a bit of hand speed, a bitch slapping, and hopefully some really high screams from Jake Paul. And all move on with them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this.
So you were kidding about Jake Paul?
I was kidding about Jake Paul. Sorry, disclaimer.
No. I
do joke.
Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes with this cancel culture. Yeah.
Don't cancel me.
Sorry, that's maybe politically incorrect too, but it should be entertaining. That's it. So we're all three in agreement. Ben Askren's going to bitch slap Jake Paul, and we can all move on with our lives and on to the next salacial thing.
If there's a first round market, will you be putting money on a first round?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll be putting it. I mean, if I can get even money odds on Ben Askren, I'll be maybe selling my son's a school fund, and stuff like that, you know. So if Jake Paul wins, he's going to ruin my son's career, you know. And maybe my son will seek him out and give him a bitch slapping at an older age. So it all could work out in some sort of.
Work out for you.
Yeah.
Either way.
Well, yeah. Okay. Anyway, guys, thanks very much. Thanks for your input. Always fun.
Nice game.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.